Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the GSL-English Podcast. My name is Gideon, and this is a podcast for all learners of English to take in the English language in a relaxed and natural way. And in this episode, we are going to have a good old chit-chat together. We're going to catch up because recently we've had quite a few study-focused lessons based around certain topics or words, but a few of you said, that's great, Gideon, but I do miss the natter episodes. The episodes where you just natter on about random things. So that's what we're going to do today. That's what we're going to go through together. So if you are a returning viewer, grab a cup of tea, grab a coffee. I mean, you can also do that if you are a new viewer or listener. I'm not saying that only returning viewers and listeners can grab a cup of tea. But if you are a returning viewer, you know the drill. I highly recommend a cup of tea, coffee, whatever floats your boat. But as a new viewer or listener, the first thing you have to do is subscribe. And then I give you permission to go and grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's just catch up. So I wanted to start today's episode by reading out a beautiful email that I received from one of you lovely subscribers. Okay. Now, I don't know if you remember, a few weeks or months back now, I think, I did an episode celebrating 1 year of the podcast. So it was an episode where we spoke about 1 year of podcasting or YouTube, and just celebrating that, as the title suggests. And for some reason, in that episode, I spoke about Lego. I'm not too sure how that link came about, how I did start to talk about Lego in that episode, but I did. And I mentioned that at the time, I was building a Lamborghini Countach out of Lego. It's a set that my wife bought me because I am still a child, basically. I'm 34, but I still love to build Lego. And I've learned to embrace the love of Lego. I don't hide it anymore. You know, it's out there. I am a Lego lover. So that's what we were talking about. And I got this email referring to that episode. And I just thought it was lovely. It was a really beautiful story. Now, it's from a gentleman called Imre. I'm very sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, but you'll know if this is you. So thank you so much for sending this in. And as a note, if you've ever got any stories, any anecdotes or anything you would like to send to me, I do read them all, and I would love to share stories, your stories, on the podcast. It could be about anything, to be honest. But this one really stood out to me. So Imre said, I saw your anniversary podcast in which you told us about your Lego Countach. It made me think of something. So just as a note, the Countach is a legendary Lamborghini car. Beautiful looks. I think it had a V12 engine. If you're a petrol head, if you're into your cars, let me know if that's correct. It was either a V10 or a V12. Beautiful car. So he carried on. Please, let me tell you a story about my childhood. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I got a picture from my mother. In the picture, there was a red sports car and a caption, Lamborghini Countach. I don't know why I did that in an Italian accent, but it just felt right. Okay, it just felt right. Apologies to all Italians out there. When I got it, I made a secret pocket in its back because I needed a place where I could hold my pocket money. Pocket money is the money that you receive as a kid, either monthly or weekly, and you just kind of, you know, it's generally not a lot, but it's your own money. Pocket money. It's what your parents or guardians give you. This picture now is about 30 years old, and I looked for it because I'd like to write about it for you. The picture there was on the wall of my room until I moved away for university. After that, the picture lived in other places in a box. Nowadays, it's still in a box, in a storage unit. I'm waiting for the day when I'll have my own room again and I'll put it on the wall. I've never liked cars, but in my opinion, it is still a very beautiful car. Thank you for all you do. You are the best English teacher. Very kind of you. And I just love how something random, like talking about a piece of Lego, resonated with Imre. It's such a beautiful story. And the great thing about that is he has connected that podcast and any random things that we spoke about with his own life. So he's much more likely to remember the things that we went through and improve his English. So great connection to the material. Highly recommend you doing that. But there was a sentence in this email that really stood out to me. I've never liked cars, but in my opinion, it is still a very beautiful car. So, okay, never really been into cars. Cars are not your thing, but you can still appreciate the beauty of that car. And it got me thinking, it's very true, isn't it? That we don't have to be into something. If we are into something, it means that we are avidly interested in it. I am into cars. You might not be. My wife is into cooking and nail art. It's the things that interest you. So if we are into something, we're interested in it. So we don't have to be interested in something to appreciate its beauty. And of course, I am by no means an artist, and I wouldn't really say I'm into art. It doesn't interest me that much. But I could not deny that some art is absolutely stunning. I can appreciate the beauty of something, And I think that goes for everything. And I appreciate Imre's point about that even if you're not into something, you can still appreciate it. So thank you so much. What a beautiful email. And he actually attached some brilliant pictures along with that. So it's like evidence that this is true. So well done, Imre. And it got me thinking, we've all got different things we love, haven't we? We've all got different things we enjoy. But I don't know about you, but as we get older, as life gets more intense, busy for different reasons, it's difficult to take time for the things that you enjoy, the things that you love. And I've not been doing this recently. As many of you know, I got hold of a drum kit probably about, I don't even know. I'm terrible with time. Maybe about 4 months ago, 3 months ago. I'm really bad with timing. My sense of time is terrible. What I think was 1 week ago turns out to be 6 months ago. And I had the goal, I'm going to play drums every day, every other day. I can make time for it. 5-10 minutes. Has that happened? Not at all. I'm lucky if I get on it once a week. And this was frustrating me. I was thinking, I just don't have the time for it. Feeling sorry for myself and putting myself down. I wish I had more time to play the drums. Well, the reality is, I do have time. I just need to schedule it in. And perhaps that's something within a busy life that we have to start doing. And maybe that connects to the English language. Why don't we start scheduling in time for things we love? For example, I have plenty of opportunities today, little 5-minute breaks where I could just schedule in time to play the drums. I'm very fortunate that I've got my drum kit at home, but I don't do it. Why not? Because I just fill that time with other stuff. And we can do that for things we love. Maybe that's what we need to start doing. Scheduling in time for things we love, particularly drums, and always trying to improve. So what is something you love? What is something you love to do? Maybe there's a chance that you could start scheduling it in. And if what you love is the English language, schedule it in. Schedule time to study the English language, to watch something in English, to catch up on the GSL-English Podcast, whatever it is. Schedule in time for it. So that's what that got me thinking. That's my thought process on that. But yeah, thank you so much for the email. Now, I need some advice. Okay? I need some advice on something. As you know from recent episodes, I would like to upgrade my camera. Now, you might think, well, Gideon, why haven't you done it yet? So I am still recording. This podcast is currently recorded off my iPhone 11 Pro. What iPhone are we up to now? It's like the iPhone 16, isn't it? Is it the iPhone 16 or 15? I don't know. I can't stay on top of it all. But this iPhone 11 Pro, if you can say it, this iPhone 11 Pro has done me well. It's done exactly what I wanted to do. And I always said to myself that I won't invest into equipment until the podcast or YouTube pays for it. So what I mean is, as the podcast grows, perhaps you get a little bit of money from it, then I invest that back into the podcast. Right at the point now where we're going to talk about that a little bit in a moment, about making money on YouTube. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But so yeah, I'm at the point now where I'm able to invest in a camera. Okay, it's not a huge budget by any means, but I would like to improve the quality, because there was a quote, I think it was Mr. Beast said, every video, make it a little bit better. And I want to do that. So I'm thinking of investing in a new camera. Does anybody have advice on what camera I should invest in? I'm looking at the Sony ZV-E10. Okay? ZV-E10. I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to float that around. If you've got any advice on what camera I should get, I'm not talking about professional, just something which is a step up from the iPhone 11 Pro. So if you've got any advice on that, let me know in the comments. But it also highlights that when I first started on YouTube or doing video recordings and things like that, I thought, I need the best camera immediately. But the iPhone's done absolutely fine. So if it is something that you want to do, if you want to start creating content with anything that you're interested in, just grab your phone and start recording. It's not essential. The best thing, the most important thing, is to grow a loyal audience like you guys. So someone asked me recently, do you make any money from this podcast? I've actually been asked that question a few times now. Do you make any money from this podcast? And I don't know why, but I've always avoided talking about that or asking that or answering that question, because it just didn't feel right, or it didn't feel appropriate. But I've been asked it a few times now, and I thought, in the face of full transparency, let's talk about it. Talk about this podcast, YouTube in general, and getting paid from YouTube. Is it worth the time? Well, just to put it clearly, at the moment, now I do make some money from this podcast. Not a lot by any means. It's, as I say, I invest everything I earn back into the podcast to buy more equipment, whether that's a new light, whether that's a new camera. So, I'm not earning life-changing money at all from it. A little bit of petrol money, food money, which I'm not complaining with at all. But I'm not at the point yet where this is serious. Where you think, right, okay, I'm getting close to quitting my job or whatever. I'm nowhere near that point. But this idea of being paid from YouTube, how does it work? Well, YouTube payments are primarily tied to the advertising revenue generated by the content you create. So that's generally how it works. You get ad revenue. So you post a video on YouTube, they show an advert, and for every 1,000 views, you get a certain CPM or something like that. I really don't know too much about it, but you get paid for people clicking on your video and adverts, basically. So, of course, the more views you get, the more you get paid. That's the main way of making money on YouTube. So basically, it's all dependent on views and how long people watch your videos for or listen to your podcasts for. Of course, this is still quite a small podcast. Views aren't as high as others, but that's okay. We're just slowly getting there. So, yeah, make a little bit of money from this podcast. That makes it, it's more of an incentive just to keep going. But all of that money goes back into it, if that makes sense. I always said I'm not going to spend any of my own money as such on this. I want it to pay for itself, with the goal of just simply improving the podcast, improving the content. Just in case it does interest you, not that I'm at this point, but Other ways people make money on YouTube is channel memberships. So you get paid monthly by viewers. I think we have 4 members. So thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Super chats and super stickers during live streams. I've never gone live on YouTube, so I don't know about that. Merchandise sales. I have 1 book on Patreon, so that's not really a thing for me. And shorts fun. So that is basically payments for shorts videos. Again, the views on those. I don't really post shorts anymore. So there you go. That's the breakdown of how you make money on YouTube. And yeah, this podcast does make a very little amount, but it's just enough to give you a little bit more of an incentive. And as I said from the very beginning, the main incentive for this podcast was to transition from Instagram to content that I actually wanted to make, because I never really made any money from Instagram at all, but I was posting content all the time that just didn't seem authentic to me. And then I thought, inspired by other podcasts, I thought, I want to give that a try. I really like that idea of building a following, building a community based around the English language and presenting it in as relaxed and authentic way as I can. That is still the main motive. That is still the main incentive. Just presenting the English language to you amazing people in a way that is relatable. So I hope that still comes across. And please do let me know if it doesn't. If you ever start to see a change in the style of podcasts or the way that I present it, and you think, I don't like that, Gideon, let me know. We're in this together. But one thing it has taught me along the way is the danger of second guessing yourself. Are you a second guesser? What do I mean by that? Well, if we second guess something, we question it, we doubt it, we rethink a decision or an action after it's already been made. I second guessed myself with this podcast for probably far too long. People aren't going to be interested. It's a waste of time. I'm going to be, am I copying others? I lost out on years because of that. But some of us by nature second guess everything, don't we? I don't know. You get a takeaway. Oh, should we get Indian or Chinese? Let's get Indian. It arrives. Should have got Chinese. We second guess it. We second guess every decision. But this is particularly a problem when it comes to speaking English. So you can apply this principle to exams and everything else and writing, but we're going to focus on speaking English. And I've noticed that it happens all the time with students and clients that I work with, trying to help them to improve their confidence, particularly in speaking out loud and public speaking. The issue is not their vocabulary. The issue is not their grammar, the sentence structure. It's actually second guessing what you're going to say naturally. There's so many times that I ask a question. I don't know, let's say, we're talking about idioms. Let's take the idiom, bite the bullet. I asked the student, what does that mean? To bite the bullet. They go to answer it. And I can just tell that they've got the right answer before they've even spoken. And then they stop talking and they start to second guess. Is that right? Am I right? What if I'm wrong? We train the brain to assume that we are wrong. And that is a real problem when it comes to the English language. I've fallen into this trap with so many different things in life, but you train the brain to assume that you either can't or that you are wrong. So the initial thought process is, you're wrong. You can't do that. You're not going to succeed. You're going to make a mistake. And that is the biggest problem. That is the biggest hindrance to improving your English and your conversational skills and improving. It's that natural inclination to second guess. If we can stop that reaction, if we can stop worrying so much initially, we unlock this inner confidence, okay? We unlock just the confidence to speak more freely and more naturally. So give that a try. Try and think about that. Are you someone that is always second guessing your English? Before you speak and after you speak, are you analysing what you said in a very critical way? not in a constructive way, but a critical way. Second guessing whether they understood you, second guessing your pronunciation, second guessing whether you made a mistake. Try to change that thought process by just going with what you naturally want to say, because I guarantee that your natural first inclination is most probably right. And if it's not, you made a little mistake, you learn from it, and you move on. And I just thought I'd share that with you, because I think sometimes we think that we're the only ones, that struggle with confidence, that struggle with different things, but we're all in the same boat. We're all in this together, and I think we all have that natural inclination to second guess. So I would say stop doing that. If you really can, just try and train your brain to not immediately assume that you are wrong. Train your brain just to go with it, analyze afterwards, but in a constructive way, not in a critical way. And yeah, I think that applies to everything, whether that's work, friends, relationships. Sometimes it's best just to go with it, isn't it? Very good. So, I hope that does help. Don't worry if you lack a bit of confidence. I think we all do. We're all in this together. It's all good. Just go for it. So, a little update on mini golf. Now, you'll know that my wife and I have become lovers of mini golf. Just in case you're not aware, mini golf is when you have basically little golf clubs, a ball, and you have to kind of hit it down a much shorter little runway, shall we call it? I don't know what the technical term is for that. And you get it in the hole. So my wife and I with some friends went last Saturday to Hastings. Nice little seaside town. I love it there. It's got a pebble beach. But it was freezing. It was very cold. It was very wet and windy. As you can imagine, in October at the beach in England, it's never going to be great. But we persevered. We stuck with it. And it was a great game. And you'll be very happy to know that I won. I won mini golf, which very rarely happens. I don't know how, but my wife always seems to manage to beat me at mini golf. And I've realised what it is. Again, I overthink it. My wife just puts her bag down. She puts her drink down, knocks it down there. 2 shots, it's in the hole. Doesn't really overthink it. Myself, on the other hand, I'm thinking about rebound. I'm thinking about pace, taking it far too seriously. Got all these children around me just having a great time, and there's me lining it up, thinking about the moisture on the ground. And I've realised I overthink it. And because of that overthinking, it generally goes wrong. So when we went on Saturday, I took the approach of, who cares? Who cares if you win? I tried to tell myself that I didn't care if I won or not. Inside, I did care. I wanted to win, and I did. And I know that I think one of my friends that we went to play mini golf with occasionally listens to this podcast. So, I won. Yeah, and I'm proud of it. And now, I would say the whole world knows, but 30,000 people on YouTube know. So I just wanted to put it out there. I would try and stay humble in my victory, but I'm proud of it. It was good. But yeah, it really taught me I overthink these things way too much. And afterwards, we went for a lovely fish and chips. And I ordered a large, and I don't know where they found this fish, but it was absolutely humongous. It was huge. The only thing that surprised me was the price. Now, I don't know if I'm just getting old, if I'm just getting to that age where I just moan about things, but £15 for a fish and chips, for one fish and chips. So, do you think that's a lot? And I know many of you are here in England. Is £15 for a fish and chips a lot? Or, I don't know, because I'm just going by chippy prices when I was at school. So when I was at school, we had a chippy, fish and chip shop, just down the road. So we used to go there at lunchtime, sometimes with permission, sometimes without. We'd quickly run down there, get some chips and a fish, and they'd wrap it in a newspaper. It would stink of vinegar, so much vinegar it'd make your eyes water. I remember it being like £3 or £4. Chuck a fish in there, maybe £8 or £9. £15. No, do you know what? I actually think it was £16. But, it is a meal. If you went to a pub and ordered a burgers and chips or a roast dinner, it's going to cost that and the rest. So what do you think? Do you think fish and chips or cod and chips should be £15, £16? It is what it is. The price of everything is increasing, but I genuinely couldn't believe it. I don't know. But it was good, so I'm not complaining. I was high on my victory at that point of mini golf. I didn't care about the price. Let's get some victory fish and chips. So very good. Now, at the time that this podcast goes out, I'm currently not in England. I am in Northern Ireland. Now, why am I in Northern Ireland? Well, my brother actually lives in Northern Ireland with his wife. So we try to go and visit them as much as we can. And to be honest, I love going over to Ireland. It's just such a relaxed way of life. And because it's Northern Ireland, I don't have to take a passport. You just take your driving license. You just get your flight, go across. And it's just a really, really relaxed trip. If you've been to Ireland, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's just this atmosphere and there's this just vibe which just promotes calmness. I don't know whether it's just because I'm coming from the southeast, very close to London, which is hectic all the time. There's just a bit of a break. But I am so excited. And he's got 2 dogs, which of course I'm excited to see my brother and my sister-in-law. But I'm very excited about spending time with the dogs. And of course, a pint of Guinness. Oof, I love a pint of Guinness. And it is true. It does taste better in Ireland. I don't care who disagrees with me. I don't care what you say. Guinness tastes better in Ireland. So we're only going for a short break. But isn't it nice sometimes just to be able to get away, even if it's for a few days? So I think we're going for 3 days in total. But I'm looking forward to just a little bit of a change of scenery and a change of pace. Now, that's something that I studied with one of my students recently. We were looking at business terms, starting a new job. And we looked at that expression, a change of pace. And sometimes a change of pace is exactly what we need, isn't it? And when we talk about pace, we're talking about the speed of life. Sometimes our life might feel a little bit slow, stagnant. So we need a change of pace to speed it up a bit, to add a bit of oomph into our daily routine. Or perhaps it's the other way around, where we've got a hectic life. Everything is always manic. It's always at 500 miles an hour. Well, a change of pace just slows it down a little bit, calms it down. And I'm much more an advocate for calming things down. And perhaps that's kind of as well what we need to do in our daily routines. Just find an hour or so where it just changes the pace to either be faster or slower, depending on whatever we need. Because a change of pace, the article that we were looking at, it stimulates the mind or relaxes the mind, and then it is much more ready to achieve what you need to achieve. But that change of pace serves a very large purpose. So yeah, that's something I can't wait for. Just a bit of a change of pace. Just relax. A good fry up in the morning, play some games, take the dogs for a walk. They live near this beautiful, I call it a forest, to be honest. It's absolutely stunning. But that change of pace, you go out and it's going to be wet and windy, a blustery walk, come home, they've got a fire, have a beer or a Guinness and just chill and watch a movie. There's nothing more perfect than that. So that's hopefully what I'm doing as this podcast goes out. But thank you so much. We're going to end it there. That's the end of my chit-chat notes, which I've compiled over the last week. I do hope you enjoyed it. As I say, I'm going to try and do these more often. Just talk about random things so you can hear the English language in a natural and authentic way. Please do send me your emails. I love reading them, and occasionally I'll read them out on the podcast. So if you've got any stories or any connections to anything that we've looked at, let me know. I would love to hear it. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for your support. I can't thank you enough. Genuinely. We've reached over 30,000 subscribers now on YouTube, and we're close to 1,000 followers on Spotify. Just small goals. Just tick them off one by one. And this community is growing. And I really, genuinely appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. And I'll see you very soon. Have a good one.